Let's be honest, when you think of Italy, what's the first image that pops into your head? Is it ancient ruins, rolling Tuscan hills, maybe a classic movie scene on a Vespa? Well, that's the postcard. Today we're going way beyond it to uncover a nation of fascinating and pretty futuristic contrasts.
Yeah, on one hand, you've got the Italy we all know and love, the timeless classics, right? But on the other side, there's this totally different Italy bubbling up. It's a hub of high-tech innovation, doing everything from, get this, farming in space, to totally rethinking its most famous icons. This is the story of a country weaving its past and its future together in some seriously unexpected ways.
So how does a country that's so rooted in tradition manage to innovate without, losing its soul? Well, it starts by reimagining the very things we all associate with it.
I mean, come on, take the Vespa. It's the absolute symbol of Italian style, of freedom, la dolce vita, the whole shebang. So in a world obsessed with emissions targets and climate change, how does an icon like that even evolve? Well, they do it thoughtfully. This isn't just slapping an electric motor on a classic frame and calling it a day. No way. We're talking a serious re-engineering job. An 80-kilometer range, regenerative braking that actually helps recharge the battery as you slow down, even different driving modes. It's basically Italy's way of saying, yeah, we can be eco-conscious and still be effortlessly, undeniably cool. And this right here represents a huge cultural shift. In a country that's kind of known for its traditional office culture, look at this. Over 60% of Italians are now all in for remote work, or as they call it, smart working. But, it's not a perfect transition. While people absolutely love the flexibility, a lot of Italian homes just weren't designed to suddenly become offices. And that loss of just chatting with people at work, that's a real concern. So Italy's in this big experimental phase, trying to find a hybrid model that gives them the best of both worlds. So, how does this same innovative spirit apply to some of the country's really serious challenges? I mean, it's one thing to update a scooter, right? It's a whole other thing to tackle these deep social issues.
So here's a stat that might actually surprise you. Italy has one of the lowest overall homicide rates in Europe. It's a remarkably safe country. But, and it's a big but, the data tells a more complicated story when you dig in. See the difference between that overall rate and the rate that specifically involves minors? This is where a new and very difficult challenge is starting to show up.
So the crucial point here is that even with all this incredible progress, you've got these complex issues simmering just beneath the surface. A really worrying rise in youth crime and the ongoing, persistent problem of femicide. It shows that those big, broad trends don't tell the whole story. You need targeted, focused solutions. Okay, here is another massive challenge, and it's all summed up in this one fraction, 2/3. Just let that sink in. That's how many Italian homes were built before 1981, before modern energy standards. Now with new EU green homes rules coming down the pike, the country is facing this absolutely massive and expensive overhaul. So how are they tackling it? With pure creativity. They're trying subsidized contracts to help people afford rent. They're exploring these fascinating intergenerational co-housing models where students might live with seniors. How cool is that? And they're even looking to the future with things like 3D printed housing. It's not one single answer. It's a whole bunch of creative ideas thrown at a really complex problem. All right, you might want to buckle up for this next part. We're going from housing on Earth to farming in space. And I know, it sounds like total science fiction, but this is happening for real, right now, in Italian labs. That's right, Italian researchers have cracked a huge piece of the puzzle for how to grow plants on long space missions. And this quote says it all. Forget everything you learned in biology class about gardening. They're working with plants that don't need soil. And get this, they don't even need sunlight. The secret weapon here is this remarkable little plant, Cardamine hirsida. It's a type of weed, actually, and scientists zeroed in on it because it has this crazy, unique ability to start growing in complete and total darkness. By figuring out its genetic code, they've basically found a key to producing fresh food in the most extreme places you can possibly imagine. And of course, this is way bigger than just making sure astronauts get their salads. Think about what this tech could mean back here on Earth. Growing food in disaster zones after a hurricane, growing it in deserts or in the middle of a packed city. This research could literally start a revolution in how we feed the planet.
But here is the thing about Italy. All this futuristic, forward-looking vision, it doesn't exist in a bubble. It's all deeply connected to this powerful sense of history, of heritage, and of heroism that is still inspiring people today.
Let me tell you the story of Salvo D'Acquisto. During World War II, this young police officer saw German forces rounding up 22 innocent civilians. They were about to be executed as punishment for something they didn't do. So he made an impossible choice. He stepped forward, falsely confessed to the crime himself, and offered his life in their place. As he faced the firing squad, his very last words were, "Long live Italy." His incredible sacrifice saved all 22 of them, and his legacy is so powerful that he's now on the path to becoming a saint.
And this deep respect for the past, it also has a really playful side. Take the famous Ivrea carnival. It's where thousands of people reenact a historic rebellion against a tyrant by having a massive citywide orange fight. But here's the twist. This ancient tradition now uses a modern digital voting system to decide which teams win the battle. It is the perfect blend of medieval history and 21st century tech.
And that same kind of spirit is just everywhere. In Naples, there's this group of young people, and they're reopening old, forgotten churches. They give free tours, they share their city's history, not for money, but just out of pride. Their work really proves what this quote says. The most meaningful things we do are the ones driven simply by love and passion for where we come from.
So as you can see, Italy is so much more than a museum of the past. It's a living, breathing laboratory. And it leaves you with this final thought. What if the past isn't something to be carefully preserved behind glass? What if it's actually a building material, the foundation you use to build the future? That right there seems to be the Italian way.